Hello everyone, welcome back to RCH Builders. So today what we're doing is a little bit different than our normal thing. We're trying to get some trees off of different houses is what we've been doing for the past few weeks. And today we're doing one where people have moved out, they're not living here, and they're not sure if they're going to even want to save the house. They asked me if the house was salvageable, and I said yes. But then I also told them, I said, well, if you look at my YouTube channel, you look at some of the houses that I've worked on, you can actually look at house flip number 1, and you'll see that it takes a lot for me to say that it is not salvageable. However, personally, I don't even think this one's really that bad. A good bit of the roof would need to be redone, and maybe the ceiling joists in 2 rooms, but otherwise it's a brick house. Doesn't look like any of the brick has moved, so the brick has really helped save it, I believe. But it is a massive oak tree that's on top of it that we're getting off. I'll throw some pictures up here of what it looked like at the start. I've got some of them before we started. However, I had my father and Tyler working on it for one day, just removing a bunch of the small limbs so that it could be seen. So they were just cutting it up while I was waiting for our machine to get here. So we've got some people call it an articulating forklift. Most commonly in the construction field is referred to as a lull. It's like L-U-L-L. It's a boom forklift. It's another term people use. You'll see it. I'll show you. We'll be working with it. But so I was waiting on that to get here before we started working with the big stuff. It's here today. We're getting some of the little bit bigger but still smaller stuff up, and Tyler's loading the forklift with a bunch of the smaller stuff that they had pre-cut. So what we're doing for the homeowners is they actually have 130 acres out here, which is really nice. I hope one day that I have that. But they got 130 acres. Part of it is wooded, and what they want us to do with the tree that has come down on top of the house is basically pick it up and dump it past a little bit of the brush into the woods, so it's not super visible. The trees will grow up over it. It'll feed the natural, bugs and all that stuff, wildlife, whatever. Create a nice little blind that deer might like for habitat, possibly. So there's and what we're going to do with the bigger section, we're going to try and see how large of a section the lull can pick up. This is an oak tree and it is massive, so I'm not sure that it's going to pick up very big sections, but we'll try to get it in 8 foot, because they're thinking maybe after everything calms down from the hurricane, maybe a logger will be interested in the wood. With where this is, it is extremely difficult to get to, so a logger, someone with a sawmill, is probably not really going to think it's worth it, especially right now, to come all the way out here and get this tree. But we're going to try and get them in larger pieces and put it kind of on the top, so maybe later on, after things have calmed down and they've used up more of the other wood, maybe in a few years they'll want to come and get it. It may still be good, it may not, we don't know, but that's what we're going to do. So yeah, I'm just going to video it a little bit, let y'all see it somewhat, see just how much damage this tree has done to the house. I mean, it's done some pretty good heavy damage. We won't be going inside it today at all, but we'll just be looking at the roof line for sure. It's definitely dipped a lot, quite a few fractured rafters and probably ridge pole, and a lot of damage from this one. So All right, so we finally got all the big limbs off of this thing. Each one of these limbs is basically a tree. As far as, especially by today's standards, these are large trees. There's multiple, what most people consider big trees on this property that are smaller than these limbs. I mean, you got this one here. Is about 22 inches in diameter. This one's been split and is damaged, so it's hard to really tell. But on average, it's probably about 24 inches. And this one over here, that one's about 28 inches in diameter. So massive limbs. I've changed out the bar on my chainsaw to a longer bar now, and even with that longer bar, I'm not going to be able to make it all the way through the actual tree, because that bar is a 28-inch bar. I mean 25-inch bar, and this tree, the sun's over there, so that's going to be in your way for sure. But it's a 25-inch bar, and this tree, as you see, I mean, these are 25 inches basically on average, and we got to cut back here and then back there. Over there, it's hard to tell for sure, but it looks like it's about 4 foot in diameter. Not 4 foot around, 4 foot in diameter. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on cutting this big section up and seeing hopefully how large of sections the lull can take. This massive tree, I mean, there was a limb that was about, just about 6 inches, 8 inches around, that was driven almost 8 feet in the ground by this thing because of how massive it is. And we had to, when we pulled that out. But so we're gonna try and get this up, and then we still got to finish cleaning up this. Most of this has been cut. Some of it still needs to be cut a little smaller, but yeah, most of it's cut. It's just to get in here and pull it out will be a lot easier if at least we take off one section of this. So we're gonna at least do that, and then I'm probably gonna leave what's left on it if possible. If I can pick up on one end, it'll just depend. I'll have to find out what that lull can do, but if I can get one end up, then I will use it to basically pivot back and forth a little bit to hopefully snap off what's left of the root system. Because then that'll make that a little easier. Then maybe it can roll over a little bit, and I'll probably still have to cut it at least one more time to even get it through the gates. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I have a feeling I'm going to have to cut this into 1, 2, 3, and then a 4th section on the end. It's going to be probably 4 pieces because this thing is so massive, just so the lull can pick it up. All right, so we finally got the stump free. You can see the stump. I'm going to have to try to get that. But by all means, anyone who's cutting a tree down for lumber purposes, that's about how much of a stump they're going to leave anyway. So we consider that to be the stump and the root, so we'll see what we got for a tree. At its widest point, because it's wider this way than this way, which is kind of hard to estimate because it's been splintered off. Right here, we got 52 inches. That's 4 foot 4 inches. This way, if we estimate they're splintered out to here, we bring them back in as if it was tight, it's still, at least minimum, it would be 4 feet. It might be 4 foot 2. So, definitely a massive tree. And this is nice, solid. The bottom, around the root side of the root ball, you can't see it from here, okay, but around the bottom of the root ball, it is a little bit rotted up underneath, but the tree itself is solid. I mean, that is as hard as can be, both ends of this thing. If a logger was to come out here and get it, it's definitely a really large piece of lumber. And it's oak, so usually it's not going to rot very fast. Even if it was to sit out here for a few years, the middle would probably still be really good. But this is almost, that machine is supposed to be able to pick up 6 tons. Not 6 tons, 6,000 pounds, 3 tons. And this one little 8-foot section is maxing that out. The back tires are barely touching. I can't pick it up much more than this. When I get it towards the hill and get it aimed right, I'm probably going to let it just roll, because when I'm going downhill, it's going to probably pick the back tires up, because it's that much on the edge of what this machine can do. And it's a big machine, so definitely very heavy piece of wood there. Back tires, I feel them bouncing. Yeah, barely touching. I don't even know if it's touching.
And it's good.
heavy enough to pick up your back tires. Too heavy for the machine, but that gets it through the gate at least. From there I can push it downhill.
Good old crab walk.
That at least gets rid of all of the little hangers that are hanging down on top of people. They'll probably have to take that tree down because it is rotted and snapped about halfway up. You can see how it's all splintered off and falling that direction. The good thing is it's falling away from the house. So at least worst thing it'll do is take out a little bit of fence, which is much easier to repair than a home. But like I say, all the hangers are off it at least, so it's not gonna fall and hit somebody. The rest of this small stuff, Tyler's gonna clean up with his truck, use it to basically just haul it down there. Basically using the bed of his truck as a wheelbarrow, a big wheelbarrow. So we're not gonna video any of that because it's got his license plate on it, of course, and we don't wanna have to worry about trying to make sure that he doesn't turn a certain way or whatever. But I mean, the main parts are done anyway, so next thing that we'll be doing, if anything, with this one is we will be getting them some pricing on possibly fixing it, but we'll just see. They are believing they're just going to want to build like an in-law suite instead, or possibly a completely new, bigger house than what is here anyway. Like way out in a field with a hill, really nice scenery out there, even better than what's right here. So with that being the case, it might be just not doing anything with this at all, but I'll give them a price anyways. So hope y'all enjoyed watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you the next time.